Hello people, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be covering one by Manosphere Highlights Daily. I've not watched it. I watched the beginning, but it was just kind of an intro kind of thing, and this is the main video, so I'm watching this blind. But it's basically saying that, it's exposing women's nature, and this is from a woman's point of view. Women who can actually see how bad women are today. So let's see what they've got to say. This should be interesting, hopefully.
So this is a great question from Facebook. I was thinking about this too. Alan Thomason asks, why do you think young men are lost without many role models and turn to extremes like Andrew Tate? Are you familiar with Andrew Tate? Okay, and then just, talk a little bit about the pickup artist type, fads out there and why they're so popular.
Well, I mean, she sort of hit on it. The men don't have any role models. Nobody teaches them anything anymore, and they're basically lost. In fact, I think I saw recently.
And just to touch on that, I don't know about any of you people or you guys specifically, but my father never really warned me on what to look out for in women, what to avoid, the traits I should go for, the traits I shouldn't go for. I really got nothing from him. And I do believe if he'd gave me advice, it could have saved me quite a lot of sticky situations or situations that were easily avoidable if I had the knowledge in avoiding crazy women, But sadly, I had to find out the hard way, and I've been with many a crazy woman. Don't get me wrong, not all of them have been crazy, right? But there's levels to it, and I would say there was at least a good solid 5 that I was actually in a relationship with when I was younger. One was 2 years, one was maybe 6 months, 4 months, whatever, etc. And whoa, did I see some levels of crazy that I never knew existed in these sweet little angelic looking beings that I thought were women. Opened my eyes, and then as times went on, it seems like the sky is a limit for the craziness.
That boys are actually turning to chat GP to sort of find out about dating because they really don't understand. So if they have no role model, nobody to really talk to them about how to date or do anything. I don't think Andrew Tate's a great example, but I have to turn to someone like Jordan Peterson, who obviously is a psychologist. He understands the psychology of boys and men and what they need and want. And I think that those ideas are not bad things. I also think women underestimate how hard it is. Here's an example. The majority of women, say you go to a dating app, the majority of women find most men undateable. In the past, young men might have been able to find somebody. Most women wanted a husband. Nowadays, women don't need a husband, right? They can, which is good. They can make their own money. They don't need that. But at the same time, men feel that they don't really have a place. And women more and more, especially the younger women, are expecting men, like they find the men undateable. And you're like, well, how are the men undateable? Well, it turns out, most women want a man 6 feet and up. Most women want a man who makes money or has a job. All of those things are getting more and more difficult for men. And I think those men who say you have just a regular job and you're 5'8", those men tell me, it's really hard for them. I've talked to men who look fabulous, they're great guys and everything, and it's still hard for them to get a date if they're short. So I think women's standards somehow have increased, and at the same time, the guys' level of education, those other things that they want, have decreased. So there's sort of a mismatch. I think that seems to be picking up as the men get older. They do become more desirable, which is not great because, the men get older and they date down into the 20s and 30s. But I think that dynamic kind of changes because I talk to older women who sort of have the same problem. They always say, like, older men don't really want me because I'm older. So I think there's sort of a mismatch. But I also, why do men, I mean, I think they turn to those men because they're looking for some kind of help, and they're not going to get it from reading about how to be a nice guy.
See, this is why I respect Dr. Helen Smith. She didn't pull this stuff from thin air. She didn't throw darts at Twitter posts. She did the work. She talked to the men. She talked to the women. She collected the data. She followed the trail. This ain't misogyny. It's just facts. And it's the same stuff Marshall said in his video, just with a lab coat and a library card. Let's be real. Women are doing the most while offering the least. And if you're a young guy out here trying to swim in shark-infested waters, of course, you're going to follow the dudes who've made it out with both legs, which brings us to this.
Yeah. Okay. Instagram, Isabel Mariana. I notice, she's on Instagram. I notice that many men look for relationships with women overseas where masculinity is still valued, as I'm sure also a green card might be, but anyway, rather than date people in the United States. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm. They have a name for it. I forget what it is, but it's like passport bros. Passport bros, they call them. So these passport bros do, they want to find, go overseas and find a woman because they say they're more feminine. That doesn't always work out so well. Some of the men, they go.
I wouldn't subscribe to the overseas as the answer, because you have to understand, like she said, that there's the issue where the women will want a green card, and then there's also, you hear many stories where the men get robbed and turned over in many a different way. The women fleece them out of money. It's not necessarily the answer, because in my opinion, fundamentally, women's nature is programmed in them all, really. But there's some women who can look outside the box and can see their behaviour and can see that it's wrong, and they can work on it. But I fundamentally believe most women are programmed to be selfish to the core and take as much resources as possible whilst having the best time possible. That's basically what women are looking for, And if most women are operating that way, that is not a good mindset to be going into a long-term relationship and a loyal marriage. If they're selfish, want resources, and just want a good time, that's not how a family functions at all. So I don't agree with the overseas stuff. I'm not saying you can't meet good women, but there's good women and bad women everywhere. That's the bottom line.
Over, they get the women come back here, and they can still have the same issues. But I do think it goes to the issue of respect. I think American men do not feel respected. That is the one thing in my book that I found out, and that I'm talking to men about now. The biggest thing they talk about is respect, that they do not feel respected by American women. And I think they're, even in their mind, whether true or not, they feel that these women overseas do respect them, and feel that, I think it's important for men to show that, that they are masculine. And I think that they want somebody who isn't going to think that that's toxic. So
this part, pure gold. Men want respect. Women want love. Men will work themselves into the dirt if they feel appreciated. But if that appreciation is replaced with entitlement and criticism, they're gone.
Yeah, let's be real. Men run the world. Everything women use in their day-to-day life is made and designed by men, but yet they'll hate them, dog on them, call them trash, say they don't need them. Men literally build, create, and run everything in your existence, in a woman's existence. That's how deluded they are.
Ever heard of Love and Respect by Dr. Emerson Eggerichs? He breaks it down. No respect equals man checks out. No love equals woman flips out. And the cycle never ends. In red pill terms, it's simple. Men are judged by their competence. Women are judged by their beauty. Men want to be admired. Women want to be adored. But today, the expectations are delusional. Men aren't being told to be high value. They're being told to be superhuman. Meanwhile, the average guy can't even get a hey back on Tinder. So yeah, get your passports. Go where you're respected. Go where your value matters.
Well, look, I'm not saying that the culture is definitely different, but you have to watch when you're going to certain foreign countries. You're going into unknown territory, You can't just go there naive and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to find a good woman, because you can absolutely run into all kinds of trouble abroad as well. You have to remember that. But if you tread carefully, I dare say you could find a decent woman. But, you know, I think if you're going over there, they'll know that if you're abroad and you're living a certain life, that you've got money. So that's going to attract a certain type of woman from the start, you see. It depends how you approach it, but I wouldn't say it's the answer, but I wouldn't say that you can't get success out of it. That's all I'll say.
You titled the final chapter of your book, Fighting Back, Going Galt, or Both. What are some of the solutions and suggestions for changing the culture so that men don't miss out on opportunities to thrive in education, lead productive lives, and fulfilling lives that include family, and so that the rest of us don't miss out on their contributions and company?
Well, I think the last question sort of hit on it. I think having respect for men, I think having that respect shows that you appreciate those things that they do. You don't set men up for failure. For example, even as a young boy, we want to set men up for success just like we do women. And I think we've thought so much about what women need and what women, and for good reason, because before women were, needed those things. But I think now we're seeing that boys also, we need to sort of get that back to the middle. So I think young boys having those role models, so that it doesn't become Andrew Tate, it becomes maybe a male role model, whether that be a teacher. So I think we need to respect more men who go into the field, not see them as perverts, but ask them, how do we make education and those sorts of teaching and that kind of thing attractive to men? And I think just understanding men and listening. I think we don't do a good job of listening, because women, many times when I talk to women, they talk about themselves or what they need, but they don't stop and think about what men need sometimes. And I think that...
Yeah, because women are... I'm honestly so convinced women are selfish to the core. The only thing a woman can truly love, in my opinion, is their child, and even then women don't do that, you see. So that's the reality. Men are not truly loved by women. They're loved on a basis of what they can provide. So is that love? I would say they're liked, they're tolerated on what they can provide a woman. And if that guy doesn't meet the standards in this day and age, she'll just monkey branch. That's the reality. That's why men don't want to invest in women.
We also need to look at these schools, from colleges to, the elementary schools. They are very feminized. We do not have a classroom that is really made up for boys.
There's definitely a lack of masculinity, period. Especially in schools. It's all LGBTQ, and you can be a little girly boy and a boy, girl, whatever crazy nonsense. All of this soft, pathetic, you can't offend nobody. It's just not how society is meant to run. We need masculinity. That's the opposite of masculinity.
And an active girl either. But if somebody is very active, so many boys now are put on, Ritalin or other medications for ADHD because they can't sit still. But that's just sometimes called a...
Yeah, you're told you're boisterous. That means you're bad. I was the same. I was a young, vibrant, vivacious, fully alive, fully boyish devilment, not in a bad way, but I was just a boy, literally a typical boy. I was fighting, I was this, I was that, I was rough, I was ready, and, I wasn't terrible, but I was just a boy. I was like being a boy, and I was told, that's bad, you are bad, you must not, you've got to basically act like a girl, you've got to not be a boy, you must be nice all the time. It's the only thing that's acceptable. So why do you think men either rebel or become little, feeble, puny weaklings, mentally and physically? They become feminine because they're told being a boy or being boisterous is bad. That's another thing. And then you've got the added thing of toxic masculinity. Anything to do with a man, that's toxic masculinity. It's just insanity.
a regular boy. And it isn't always the case the child needs to be medicated. So I think we really need to get back to, hey, boys are people too, they're human beings. And how do we make the school systems and the culture positive for both sexes? Because we're all missing out. Believe me, I talk to women too, and I hear more complaints from women. Women aren't happy. You look at the data and you see that women aren't happy with this dating situation. They want a guy. And what I think, because everybody's so afraid, it leaves such great women out in the cold too. I see great women every day saying, like, why isn't there a guy out there for me?
No, well, the problem is too many women have slept around too much and they're in a hypergamous state. They live in a constant hypergamous state, which means you cannot be content. You're constantly looking for more and more because you've got like an addiction of thrills and adventures, and your life can't be boring. It's got to be great, and you've always got to be getting new shiny things, and there's got to be money and a fast life and ups and downs. And if you're with a guy who brings a stable life, that's that. What's wrong with that? Well, modern women don't seem to like that. So women are living in a constant hypergamous state where no man is good enough. We can see it. And now we've got to a point where you've got to be at least 6 foot. You've got to be making six figures. You know, you've got to be have a 6 inches, a six pack. You know, is that not the sign of the devil? If ever you heard it, 666. If you want to put it like that, it's all six, isn't it? And then it's just insanity, and that's what I'm saying. What happened to love? Why are we? And as soon as a man says, I don't like a woman that sleeps around, I don't want a woman that's overweight, and maybe I don't like a woman that's super tall, oh my God, the uproar. How dare you? You're misogynistic. You're a toxic man. Because of my natural preferences, like, you know. But yous want money, and he's got to be at least 6 foot, which is way, way more exaggerated than a man not wanting a woman to sleep around. That's a reasonable request, you know.
And that's a shame, because I think that we've alienated so many men in the culture that the men I think that a lot of them just given up. And I think also look outside the box. If you're looking for a man, I think that 6 foot man making a certain amount of money, there's other people out there. And sometimes you have to kind of look past
The superficial qualities.
yes.
All right, cue the food for thought music. When Dr. Smith uses words like culture and system, she's not being poetic. That's code for this thing is hardwired. We're not talking about a few bad dates. We're talking about an ecosystem where the deck is stacked, where men are only valued when they're being used. This is why men are checking out. And guess what?
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, in this current climate, and it seems to be getting worse, men are looking for love. Like I said, there's 15% of men that get all the women, and maybe they're not looking for love. But I would say the mass majority of men are looking for love. And I would say the mass majority of women are looking for business, thrills, fun, highs. They don't want lows. They don't want boring lifestyle, or highs and lows. They don't just want a stable life. That will never please a woman, because they are emotional beings who, it seems to be as time goes on, needs more and more drama and chaos and money and material things and, you know, resources and outward things. So I think we went from a place of where love and true bonding has went from an internal happiness and contentment, and that the ultimate value and the ultimate thing in life should be the connection you have with a person, and that should be the most cherished thing. But sadly, the most cherished thing nowadays to women is money and superficial outward things. And that's where I think it's going wrong. Women are looking for love in the wrong place, you know?
Checking out is the solution. It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's strategy. It's the art of walking away. Why keep applying for a job that only pays in stress and blame? Why keep chasing validation from someone who doesn't even bring peace? You can't win when the rules only apply to you. So instead of begging for a seat at the table, men are flipping the table and walking out. Here's the uncomfortable truth that no one wants to admit. Sometimes peace isn't found in trying harder. It's found in not trying at all. Let that one marinate.
Yeah, and I think me particularly, I've been in many a relationship, and honestly, I'm being honest. I'm not going to sit here and lie and whatever. None of them ended up great. They all went pear-shaped. They all started out. The best bit was the start, and then it just got worse from there. You know, and that's just my experience with women. You know, and it's like you cannot. It's like the more you're with a woman, the harder she is to please, and the more she sort of just rebels. And it's like, for example, they'll just start arguments because they need chaos. You know, see if you don't start a drama or give a woman a high and a low, she'll create it. That's one thing I observe with a woman. Because I'm a stable kind of person, you know, you find me as I am usually all the time. And that's not what women want. Women want a guy that's going to give them heartache and drama and upsets and things to gossip about. And and this, they don't just like a nice, happy, plain sailing life. That's the sad reality about women. And this is what a lot of men need to realise. If you are a stable person with a woman and you try and give her a stable, nice life, she will create the chaos because she needs it. This is just what women do. Why? I don't know. Maybe because they're crazy. But that's the reality. And I was even watching a video earlier that I might cover about saying that women are evil. And it's a woman telling you that she thinks women are evil. All women. That's what she said. So, you know, these are things that are getting said, and at the end of the day, women are selfish and they don't care about men. Look at how they speak about them. Look at how they put them down. Look at how they disrespect them. What do you see? And like she says, I see the biggest factor is there's no respect for men from women. It's like women think they're better and want to be better than men rather than just appreciating men for what they are. And that's where we are. So until the next time, take it easy and peace.